Welcome to my community on Afrocentric Television Channel 15.8. As we promised y'all, it's going to be Father's Day this weekend, and we have two of our, I would say, significant women here in Houston. Very beautiful wives of good men, because it's going to be Father's Day. Of course, they are married. They've been married for a while, and also they are mothers, and they wear different hats at every and any point in time, and yet they were still able to keep their home because they have a good man. I have with us today Ashley Aborisade. She's a businesswoman, a mother, and a wife, and she's very, very hands-on and involved in everything she does. And also, our second guest on the same show is Tomi Favored. You guys may know her as Mrs. Alesh, right? And she's also an author, a speaker, singer, songwriter, and also a wife. So let's weigh in on how they're able to, sustain all this lifestyle they're living, which is wearing different hats, doing different things, because they were able to have a man support them, I would say. Because as Africans, we like to be dominant as men. We like it. But some of us are like, you know what? This is my wife. She's not to be on the recessive side. She's my partner, my friend. Give me your take on how you were able to, Ash, how you were able to cope this. First off, tell us how long you've been married, and how many children you have, if you have any, and also what you do and how you've been able to cope.
Okay, so I have been married to my husband Toby for 5 years next month, and we have two beautiful children together. We do business together, we do ministry together. We really work as a team. I would say that's how we make it work. Before I met him, I was, a career woman. I traveled, I did what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I went around doing trainings for folks, and I had really gotten comfortable with that. But when I married him, I became an instant mom. Right, he already had a daughter.
I can imagine.
And
also, he had a daughter before.
He had a daughter,
and
I became a mom and a wife in a matter of like a span of months. Moved away from my family from Oklahoma City to Houston and started this new life. So really, in the beginning, he had to take the lead because I had no idea what I was doing. Okay, it took a lot of patience on both of our part to kind of develop a way and a system. I used to work full-time in business, and at some point, it just didn't make any sense anymore for me to do that.
Overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. I was stressed out. I was not the woman that he married. I didn't feel like that. I looked him in the eye and I said, we need a new plan.
I'll come back to that. Let me hear from Tomi.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm blessed to be married to Shay Alesh. He's a renowned saxophone player. He travels all the time. And when we got married, I was an LVN. I still am. I still work as a nurse. But our first year of marriage, we've been married for 6 years, by the way. And so I got pregnant our first year of marriage. And so we immediately stepped into the shoes of becoming parents, which neither of us had been before. But it was such a blessing to have a supportive husband. I think his upbringing, he has 3 sisters, 4 sisters actually.
So he probably has that experience of dealing with women.
Yes, he's been dealing with women, and he had a very great mom who taught him a lot about, being a supportive man.
I love when women talk about their mother-in-laws like that.
Yeah, and
they keep forgetting, but one of the things they keep forgetting that sooner or later, there will be that mother-in-law.
He'll be the mother-in-law, right? We all will be, yeah.
And I think I respect his mother-in-law. Unfortunately, I never did actually get to meet her. She passed away before we got married.
Oh.
But I value that woman in absentia, because everything she instilled into my husband made him such a great husband and father. I tell people, I say it jokingly, but I say the only thing my husband can't do is breastfeed, because God did not give him the...
Well, we substitute that for custard sometimes.
Exactly.
Right? But, you did say something earlier, Ashley. You said something about, having to step into that shoes to become a mother, and you also to be an instant mom, because your relationship just kicked off, and already, immediately you got pregnant. That's a blessing, by the way, because a lot of people long for this and they don't get it. And, your marriage came with one, and because you have a supportive husband, things had to happen certain ways, right?
Yes.
However, for you to fit in, you were stressed. Right.
Yeah, so really, my husband, I really think he was raised very well too. You know, he's a man of faith. He applies wisdom to things he does, and that is certainly and definitely why we are able to do all that we do. You know, his leadership in that sense. I had to probably do most of the adjusting, most of the compromising, I guess you would say, kind of put some things on the back burner. And did I just happily do that from day one? No. I'm just
It's a transitional season, right?
Right. He is a leader. I'm also a leader, right? So we had to learn how to speak a common language. What is important to you? What things can you
Let me
adjust
chip in on that. You had to speak a common language because you were deliberate. You wanted that relationship to work.
Right.
you
Whatever you
don't
make
want to just
a
be the
must.
leader, or he has to be the leader. Something has to trigger something, and for that something to trigger, what one of you had to like take a chill, like, okay, you lead. You have to be deliberate about it, right?
What I learned over time, and I'm still learning now, is that the more I really let him flow in his gifts, the more space and time I have to flow in mine, right? I don't need to step up and do things that he's already good at doing.
No competition.
I call my husband Pastor Money. I know that's
Because he speaks money.
He speaks money. He's good at it. You know.
So there's no reason for you to compete with him in that, despite doing business, the same kind of business, and working together as a partner.
Right, but you know, I'm good at marketing. I'm good at relationships. I'm good at hospitality, and so I allow
So you
myself
let
to
people
work
leverage
in
on
that
their
space.
strength.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that what I bring to the table helps him,
And vice versa.
and vice versa. Yeah.
And you. So you are a nurse, a mother, a songwriter, a speaker. Because I was someone, I remember the Free Worshiper song, the last time you were there, you played, and I enjoyed it. I was like, don't make me cry today. But
I actually love your music too.
Yeah.
I have it in my
Yeah.
car, in my
Thank you so
in the
much.
player.
see, your husband is also a saxophonist, and amongst many other things he probably does, right? He still lets you flourish in your own gifts. Same thing her husband did, and she found that understanding in her husband. You let your husband do what he does best, but in his absence, however, you step in to do certain things, I'm sure. How does that make you feel about the man you married, that he allowed you to let your gift blossom?
It's a blessing for me. I'm joyful. I'm grateful for it, and at the same time, it gives me a better understanding of what God intended in marriage. God didn't intend for two halves to come together and become one. It was two whole people. You have two intelligent, independent, smart people who come together. And you mentioned something significant, which is someone had to back off a little bit. You know, there's that submission thing. Usually, it's a big issue for women because you think submit means become
Coward.
Being a coward.
subverted. You think submission is being overruled.
But don't get it twisted, though.
But-
Lately, however, you'll see those famous women. I don't want to use names, but you see them advocating for women this, women rights, women this, women right. However, they are single women. Are they drawing people to themselves, making men insignificant? Or what are they really driving at? So we need women like you to speak up some more for men, right? Because from what I'm hearing both of you talk about today is that men are significant in your life and as much as you are in their lives, right? How come we don't get enough of that lately? The new generation, there's this trend going on. I don't understand it.
Well, I think there's definitely a history of men who have taken, who have abused their power in
But how
marriage,
many
in
are
family,
they? That's the
right?
thing.
There are many cases and instances, but what I really think is important is that, as women, when we step into marriage, we have to recognize that there needs to be a different part of us, an evolved version of us to make it work. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner our marriage will start working. I can definitely not just wake up tomorrow and plan a to plan a month-long trip somewhere
I
to
know,
go
right?
and organize a show or something. I can't do that anymore. It's just not possible for me. So I have to, there are women who can do that in their marriages, depending on the kind of marriage you have, the type of support you have, etc. But I have to work with my marriage and my family, right? My husband is probably the one who does most of the traveling, right? So I need to be here with the little ones, I need to kind of make myself as flexible as possible.
I need to chip in there because you are secured, because you feel secured, because you feel the trust in him.
Sure.
He travels, anything can happen. They are exposed to any and everything. You're talking money. The women already know he got money. Or since he's talking about money, he's able to travel, he's able to do this. They're paying him to do certain things. That's probably, and he's married, he's responsible. That's what those single girls are looking for.
Yeah, I mean,
And they
we
find it
grew
in
to
those.
that space.
You grew to that space, and that's what I'm saying. Because you feel secured in your space, you've molded each other to what you have become today,
Right.
and you're loving it. Of course, there are ups and downs, right? Those times that you feel down, how do you manage situations like that?
I'll let you answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I was gonna piggyback off of what you said initially. As far as trust, I tell people, no one has a choice in loving my husband or liking my husband. You will like this person because God has given this person gifts, talents, and things that will attract you to them. It's supposed to attract people to them. It's like you see a celebrity; they're supposed to be attractive.
Yeah,
They
like
carry
the last
something
time he
that's
played,
supposed to-
I'm sure people were just giving him cards, and you can imagine a jealous wife would be like, "Who's that woman?"
So if you're a foolish wife, you will be jealous and try to attack everyone who is attracted to your husband. But you're fighting the wrong battle. You have to fight the godly battle of you and God, and then you and your spouse, because you can't control everyone else. I can't control it if a woman sees my husband and wants to expose herself to my husband. I can't handle that. She's probably crazy. But the person who has the responsibility,
Of
this is where
withdrawing.
good men come into
Thank
the
you.
picture, is you see that and you're like, you don't have a choice. You can be crazy, but I'm the one with the common sense. I know I have a wife and children, and I'm a faithful man, and so I'm going to walk away from you. So it goes back to the responsible husband. He doesn't have a choice, just like he doesn't have a choice if another man finds me attractive, or if another man is drawn to my gifts.
Exactly.
It's not that man's responsibility to keep my home. It's mine to say, no, I have a husband, I value my marriage, and I'm going to protect it. And so
So I'll ask you, women, something very, very significant. You've been married. There was something that drew you into that man. In your case, despite the fact that he's had a child, which is against the norm in Africa, I would say. He had a child before coming into that marriage. In your case, he's been playing, he's been exposed to people before you get married to. What gave you the goal to say, okay, this is a good man? What did you see in him beyond the physical, beyond what everybody else had seen or would have seen, that would make you say, this is the guy? Because I said something earlier. You have, in a relationship, you have to be intentional. Remember, today we're talking about fathers. We're talking about good men. We're not talking about someone that is in an abusive relationship. We're talking about the good ones that we never ever get to celebrate, right? What drew you to him that makes you feel like this is the right person?
For me, it's a couple of things. One, I like who I am when I'm with him. He holds me to a high standard. He has his character is intact, so it really brings out the best in me. He's a very responsible guy, so it brings out that side of me. And he helped me to grow up in a way. I mean, I lost my father when I was 11 years old.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I've healed from it, definitely, but I definitely love that he's a great father. He's not my father, but to have this sort of environment, this kind of ecosystem where everybody is allowed to have space, allowed to think, allowed to share, that's a really beautiful thing. And I do think it brings out the best in a woman when she has that kind of environment. And it brings out the best in the children as well. So I like how he is as a person, and I like the person that he brings out of me. And then secondly, I really love the kind of father he is. You know, he's very hands-on. He does soccer games. He does movie dates.
Those outdoor things with
you
the
know,
children.
anything you decide in this life that is a must for you, you will find a way to make it happen.
That's what I said about being intentional. about
Yes,
things.
if you decide I'm going to be a great father, despite work, but despite business, despite other relationships you have, despite ministry, if you decide I'm going to be a good father, I'm going to make time for my children every week, you'll do it, right? So it is very apparent to me that my husband has decided as a person, I'm going to be a great father, I'm going to be a great husband. And I see him consistently taking steps toward that. And so that's what I really appreciate about him. Is he a perfect guy? No, he doesn't do housework. He doesn't,
Not
you know,
all of us
he's kind of fussy
does.
sometimes and all that, but at the end
But
of the day, for his role, he
tend
does
to
a great
pick the
job.
positive part of it, to me.
Yeah, for me, I think it was just compassion. I saw compassion in my husband. He was just a really sensitive, deliberate person when it comes to people in general. So when you talk about being intentional in marriage, he was very intentional with people. And a lot of people don't know this, but at this point I talk about it a lot. When we first met, my mom got sick and she had a stroke. And one of the first things my soon-to-be at that time husband did was to drive almost 2 hours to come to the hospital and be with my mom.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa, who is this person? You know, my sisters were like, who is this guy? You know, he's just a friend. I don't think he's just a friend for someone to literally take days off of whatever he was doing just to be there, not even just for me directly, you know, because you would think, oh, okay, this person is just coming for me,
yeah, because of what he's going to get out of
let's
it.
go out
Yeah.
to eat or whatever. No, but he sat in the hospital for 2-3 days with my mom, just holding her hand.
Don't cry.
You
It's
know,
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
You know, and our first year of marriage, both my mom and dad got sick. So it was crazy. It just kept getting worse and worse. And our first year of marriage, I would wake up, shower my mom, dress her up, and my husband would go to my dad's room, wake him up, shower him, dress him up, and we were literally living with my parents our first year of marriage. It was like, who is this person who can be so compassionate and so deliberate about relationships? So it was just compassion. I just saw like God loving me. I even wrote a song about it. I said, whenever I see you, I see God loving me.
Oh, that was for him and about him. Now I know.
Yeah, and it was a love song.
She. He has stolen someone's heart.
It was a love song because I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, I love you and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you can say I love you without even saying the words because of how you act and how you relate with people and how you're intentional about meeting their needs.
Beautiful. So, having learned from all of these things, what are your messages for young men, aspiring fathers? Because I mean, it takes one thing to become a father. And before I even go there, something popped up in my head now. I want y'all to advocate for men, if possible. I mean, for men, if possible. Let's allow your children to love their father. They don't really see that fatherly love. They don't really see it. Men don't cry, they say, right? We're very, very emotional. If you look deep, you will find it. We probably just don't express it because we think it's a sign of weakness, and we just have to be strong for our families, right? So we probably don't express it as much as we should. And some women, I would say, don't support that too, because even when the man goes to hustle and struggle and just make sure everything is right in the house, and but they let the mother take the lead on taking care of the children, so that's all the children sees, the mother love, the mother's love, and the compassion, those things that the father is too, just at that point in time, could be too weak to express, right? They go to the grocery store, I bought you this. No, we brought you this, right? And that's one of the things I appreciate my wife for. She carries me along everything. Even if I wasn't the one that did it, she will say, we did it. And my children are quick to say thank you to everything. And they would say, if they go to my wife and say thank you, and they will come back to me and say thank you, even without my consent, understanding what had happened. So what are you thanking me for again? And that's the way I think it should be. Once they see that, they know that you know, we give a whole lot of things to mothers on Mother's Day. On Father's Day, we don't do so much for fathers. So what message do you have for aspiring fathers, aspiring husband, that one that is, you know, looking up to your husband to see, I can be this kind of man if only I can find a good wife to support me also.
Well, that's
in
the
my
first thing I
space.
would say, is that you have to find the right partner. And that is not some pre-described list of what you should have in a woman. That is the
Repeat that
person
again.
that's
A
right for you.
pre-described list.
Right.
Right?
You have to find your spouse. You have to find your mate, the one who is compatible with your ebbs and flows, you know. And once you do that, I think you've already done a great thing. You found a good wife, which is a good thing, right?
Even the Bible recommended.
Exactly. Once you do that, I would say that children grow in the direction of light. So whatever you are putting attention on, that is what you are teaching them to do. If you're constantly putting attention on negative things, and they see that's the way to get daddy's attention, daddy's gone all the time unless I'm in trouble, and then he comes and he gives me a spanking or whatever.
And that's all they see.
That's the attention, that's the kind of behavior you're going to get. But if you have a father who is noticing talent, that they can write well, that they're really good at, even, you know, that they clean their room consistently or something like that, that's the kind of thing you can put attention on. I personally am always just giving my husband kudos in the house. Even if I bought something, I'll say, Dad, look what Daddy got you, you know, because Daddy's not around as much as Mommy, and I know
that he's doing
he
everything
would be
for
if he
both
could
of
be,
you.
yes. But he's actually working on both of our behalf. So I too can work on both of our behalf.
Thank
right?
you for doing
Mention
that.
him. Well, thank God. Mention him as much as possible. You know,
And let the children understand its significance in the home.
Yes, and we're in business together, so we often take our children to the office in the evenings and things like that, so they get to see him working with his clients, with our clients, and I think that does a lot for our family unit. You know, they realize, like, Daddy is actually working.
I love that.
all the time
they
for
see
us.
him.
Yeah.
They see him doing it. And to me,
For me, I would say just making good memories constantly. I mean, especially with children, one thing my husband does that I value so much is he travels a lot as well. Whenever he comes back, he spends time with the children. Like, they're running around the carpet, you know, jumping around, making a mess, cleaning up the mess together. So it's just, there's power in us. Just that usness, where it's like, okay, you're creating these memories, you're making those neural connections that these children will remember. Oh, I remember when Daddy and I remember when we did this, I remember when we did that, I remember, you know. And so as much as I can do in his absence, there's power to his 1 hour in one day, or 1 hour even in a week, that he spends that quality time with them and makes those good memories, and is a disciplinarian, but is also the fun dad who did so much for them. And you talk
there's a
about-
way you discipline your child in
Exactly.
love.
And you talked about advocating for good men. Whoever is listening to this right now, there are good men out there. You know, there are great fathers, great husbands out there. The statistics tell you, you know, all men are cheaters and blah, blah, blah. It's a lie. There are good, godly men out there. And as women, because we're the ones advocating right now for good men, our job is to be the light. You said, you know, they gravitate towards light. It's not just children. Everyone gravitates towards positive, towards light. If you make your home a conducive place, a happy place, no man will go out there and not want to come back to a house that is full of love, full of respect, and full of appreciation.
Where he feels at home. Yeah.
For him,
Their home
where
should
he
be a
feels
safe
at home.
haven.
Yeah, so if a lot of men are running away from home, well, check yourself. Maybe you're the one making.
Thank you.
So I want to also add to what you said. There are a lot of good men out there, but there are also a lot of, like, imperfect men who just need the right kind of
partner.
love. They just need somebody who will work with them, who will
Direct
meet
them,
them where they are,
follow that
and who will grow with them. You know, I have brothers, I have male cousins, I have uncles. Those are not perfect men, but it doesn't stop me from loving them, right? I think in the same way, I always joke, you know, some days my husband is my lover, sometimes he's my annoying older brother, you know, sometimes,
your
you know,
best friend.
he's all these different things to me. He's not a perfect man, but he's my man, you know, and so that's why I have a responsibility to help him grow, help him achieve the things he wants to achieve, because I'm the #1 beneficiary of that, you know,
Right.
when he does those things. My children get to have resource, they get to grow up in a happy home. That is something to be said for this world, this 21st century world. You know, we are blessed. And for me, if I have to, you know, do some things I don't want to do sometimes, make some compromises I don't want to make for the success of this thing that we're doing together, I'm more than willing to do it. And I have a great partner who affirms me, who loves God, and who is leading us into something, into a greater vision.
And if I can just say one more thing, the Bible says a wife or a woman is a helpmeet for her husband. God did not give you a perfect person. He gave you someone with certain imperfections that you have been divinely equipped to meet those needs in that person. So which is why you are the perfect spouse for that person, because your strengths will more than likely be that person's weakness, because God has paired both of you to fill the spaces and
for
fill
each
in the
other.
gaps for each other. So it's your responsibility, and actually what makes you valuable to that person is their weakness happens to be your strength. So when you don't criticize and down them too much for their deficiencies, and you realize I'm actually strong in this area because I'm here to help you with that, but wait a minute, that's actually what makes you love me and value me.
I think we should have like another session where we have all good women talk about their good men. I love this session. I love it so much. My pastor always says, you know, a child mirrors his or her environment, right? They become, you know, in the time past, you can teach them whatever. Now it's what they see you do that they imitate, right? So a quick shout out to your husband and all the masculine people in your lives and your families.
Thank you.
You know, we wish all your husbands a happy Father's Day, or if you want to say it to the camera yourself, so you can mention his name so he knows you appreciate him, please.
All right.
Just for a few seconds.
Toby, Abura Sade, I love you. I'm wishing you the happiest Father's Day. You are a great asset to our family, and I hope that God will continue to bless and increase you for many years to come. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
And well, happy Father's Day, Mr. Shea Alesh, Mr. Ololufe. I love you very much. You're the best dad our children could ever have. You're the best husband I could ever have, and I'm grateful for you. And my prayer for every woman out there looking for a spouse is that they find a spouse who brings as much joy to their lives as you've brought to mine. So happy Father's Day.
Great.
Now I feel like my wife should be here. Just to wish her a happy Father's Day.
You are amazing. Happy Father's Day.
You're a great
yes,
dad.
Well,
you're
I
doing a
think
great
I am.
job.
For 15 good years.
Yes.
Doing this means that you're an
It takes a
awesome
handful to tolerate me. I'm a total package.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But you know, happy Father's Day to all the amazing fathers. Thank you for being in the lives of your wife. Your children adore you, and I'm sure they do. And please, mothers, allow your children to love their father. Please allow them to express how they feel about their father, and give room also to your husband to cherish you and the children. You know, maybe until we'll see again or meet again. I'm enjoying this episode. I didn't want it to end, but I wish every man, responsible man that is, a happy Father's Day.